You are listening to Something Rather Than Nothing. Creator and host, Ken Vellante. Editor and producer, Peter Bauer.
This is Ken Vellante with the Something Rather Than Nothing podcast, and I'm very excited this episode. We have Nikki Lynette. Nikki is somebody who I discovered through a play that she's actually promoting right now called Get Out Alive. And I'm certainly going to allow her to speak to that, but about her experience as an artist and advocacy and experience within her life with mental illness. But incredible artist. Thank you, Nikki Lynette, for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been long overdue.
Nikki, I've enjoyed the art that you create, but prior to getting into what you're doing now and what you've done musically and otherwise, what were you like when you were younger? I mean, were you a creative type? Were you around creative types? Were you writing? Were you singing? What were you doing?
I did not have a very fun upbringing. I wanted to do like little kids theater and like painting classes and that kind of stuff, but my family, we were going through some stuff. My father was a substance abuser. When he passed away, like when my father, he ended up being like clean and sober for like 15 years. But like during the time before he got clean and sober, things weren't so stable. So I didn't
It's
really
rough.
get the opportunity to do that kind of stuff when I was little. So I became an autodidact. Like I taught myself how to sew, how to make clothes, how to paint, how to draw, how to rap, how to sing. Because when you in the house or you moving from place to place, you kind of have to entertain yourself, and so that's what I did.
Yeah, and so you kind of picked up everything and did it on your own. In chatting about your art, I was pleased. I mean, I think a lot of people might encounter your work, through your music. I had seen that you also paint as well, and of course, as an artist, dancing and writing. Could you talk about the type of art that you create and what that's like for you and what it does for you?
I call it social impact art, right? Because everything I do is informed by mental health. So you aren't really going to see anything from me that's not about that purpose. That's where I create from. And so whether it's a drawing or a painting or music or my play, everything is informed by the fact that I'm living with a mental illness and thriving with it, I would say. Um, yeah, it's why I create, and it's why I even get out of the bed every day. It's what inspires me to create. I'm really glad that I'm in an era where being a social impact artist is even an option that's available to me.
Yeah, yeah. I like your description of that. Um, can you tell me can you give me your impressions about hip hop and what you're trying to do and the issues you're talking about, mental illness and otherwise? Is it a good place to talk about it, or is it a difficult place to talk about it?
At this point, like I live with it. You know what I mean? Like I have PTSD. So it is a reality of my life every day. So talking about it for me is not painful because it's my reality. You know what I mean? So talking about it is relatively easy. It's not triggering because of the fact that this is like whether I talk about it or not, I'm still gonna have moments where I have flashbacks. I'm still gonna have sleep disturbances, like until I just no longer have PTSD, right? And so I'm doing the work to heal and doing the work to get better. And that's the best that I can do. And my best has to be good enough.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at about it.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'd encountered you and your play, and I'd been listening to your music prior to that, and I know the role of the pandemic in building up to the play. I know it was a successful start, for Get Out Alive in Chicago, and then the pandemic played into it, and now it's taken its form, online. Can you talk about the your relationship and your creation of this, running into and with the pandemic, what happened in the world, and now it's wonderful for me. Looking forward to it. Wonderful reappearance for everybody in January 2021. Get Out Alive.
Hi. Yeah. I think okay, I'm sorry. I don't know if I understood the question.
Yeah, just as far as like your the journey in creating
Oh,
the journey like in creating like you had it was a popular starting to get some attention. It opened in Chicago, and then the pandemic hit, and then how we arrive now in January, that the it's gonna you'll be able to watch it online. Just your relationship and journey with that.
got it. Um, when we debuted it at Steppenwolf, it sold out the entire run. And then we had to add an extra day, and that one sold out too. And like people were coming to see it, and they got press, and we were about to open in really another big theater in Chicago for an extended run, and then COVID happened. Fortunately for me, the subject matter of the play and the cultural relevancy of it is still a thing right now. Like we can still do it, and it still matters because, there are a lot of things that after COVID came, it ain't matter no more. You know what I'm saying? The world has changed so much. And
Yeah.
fortunately for me, because it is a musical about depression, and because we're kind of in the middle of a mental health crisis right now, it ended up being that my play is something that people are excited about. I'm very, very, very fortunate. And we decided to do it. I don't think that we really thought it would be like a big production how we ended up doing it. I think that we just had like we'll record the play, we'll film it, we'll put it out. But like now it's like a whole production. It's a whole thing. And I'm excited. I love it. We got about 20 people working on this project right now. And like I'm not no sign artist. Like I'm independent. So the fact that we have this much excitement, we're getting this much press, it's had this much visibility. It's just I'm mad excited. I'm always just so excited. Humble. It's humbling.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to see and kind of connect to your energy around it, and it comes off as that kind of like personally so deeply important and is part of yourself that you're sharing, and it was exciting to watch the parts that you've put out around it, and I wanted to chat with you a bit about being an independent hip hop artist and in being in Chicago. I was wondering, how long you've been doing hip hop, and if there's something within like your development as an independent artist that you've been able to give maybe more freedom. Have you felt more freedom in being an independent artist in hip hop?
I don't think that I could have been a social impact artist if I wasn't independent. Because initially, when I first started doing this, there wasn't no money, wasn't no whole bunch of attention, wasn't no whole bunch of press. Like I didn't get the acknowledgement that I'm getting right now. Especially like in Chicago, I help open doors for this conversation, particularly within like the urban community, because I was talking about it, making events about it, and putting myself out there to get press about it before other people in my community were. And it's one of the things that I'm proudest about in my life. And as an independent artist, like even the fact that the tickets can be affordable, right? Because I don't have some huge overhead. Like I'm independent, so we can set the prices for how much we want the tickets to be, so people can afford it. So they only, like I can offer tickets for $15 or 20, you know what I'm saying, or $18 instead of having to mark it up to like 25 or 30 just so we can see a profit because somebody else is taking a cut. Like
Yeah,
we get to do
yeah,
things our own way, and we get to do things. Our whole thing is being an ethical production, and I ain't never did nothing like that. But I figure, like, if we are in charge and it's our thing, then we get to make the rules. So if we get to decide that we're going to be an ethical production, and then we get to decide what that looks like. And I'm so glad we did that. I'm so glad we did that because
I'm glad glad it came about.
yeah,
Glad it
it's been
came
dope.
about that way. What is the date that it debuts? Just so we don't miss that detail.
January 30th.
January 30th. I got my tickets and Get Out Alive. Very much looking forward to that. Nikki, I have a big question I always ask in the podcast to try to do philosophy, art, and philosophy of art. Do you have a theory of art? The question specifically is, what is art according to you?
This is a good question. I think there's so many different things. I used to have very stringent rules about what is considered art. I used to really hate certain types of art because I did not understand how it was art, you know? But your creative output, what you make, and the intention behind it, to me, is what art is about. Like, my biggest thing when I create, I believe strongly, and this is not my philosophy. I got it from somewhere. I don't know who I got it from. But I believe that what you make at the time and place in which you create it is influenced by the time and place you create it. Like, I'm going to edit, work on edits of my play right now today. And that would turn out different than if I worked on it tomorrow or a week from now. I do think that where you are at in that moment determines what comes out in the creative process. And that's why I think it might be important for creatives to always be creating, because then you get that diversity of thought, diversity of moment, diversity of inspiration. And maybe the best artists are the people who know that and benefit from it.
Yeah, thanks for your thoughts on that. One of the things I wanted to ask you too is a question that's kind of come up in recent episode. I spoke with Ben Westhoff, who did a history of it was West Coast hip hop in 1990s, but it was a discussion around the role of hip hop, right? I think a lot of people have opinions about like it needs to be part of part of a social movement or needs to be making a statement, and others saying it's hip hop is hip hop. For you, and I'm going to talk either for you about either hip hop or art in general. What do you think the role is of what you create as kind of disrupting? Is it reinforcing or disrupting the culture as a whole? And what do you think it should do?
What I do or what art should do?
What you do when
Oh,
what you
what I do
create?
is definitely disruption. Like, as a black woman, as a suicide survivor, as a mental health advocate, uh, as an alternative black woman, everything I do is disruptive. Everything I do is other. It's just the difference between me and most people is that you will give me what belongs to me. You will give me my access. I can't be denied. I'm talented. This is all I do. All I am is talent. I'm a multi hyphenate autodidact. Like, I'm proud of that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So, like, you
yeah,
gonna give me what's mine. I'm not asking. I'm telling you.
yeah.
So everything that I do is from a place of this is what it is. I am not asking for permission to be included. I'm telling you that this is part of the narrative, and you will have to deal with the fact that there is space for me. I don't need you to create space for me. I don't need you to hold space for me. I create that space. And when we look at the narrative and we look at the paradigm, just understand that I have a place in it. So, yeah, mine is disruption for sure. I am definitely disruptive. And I think that, this cause, mental health, mental wellness, it deserves disruption. That's what my TED Talk was about. Like, disrupting the way that we look and talk and think about mental health, because the way that we're doing it is so wrong. I think we need to rebrand it. Mental health needs an image change, because as of right now, it's so clinical and so heavy when we talking about it. It's like, oh my God, mental health. It's like sad. But yo, mental health is also learning how to control your anxiety. Mental health is also standing up for your boundaries. Mental health is also having confidence and self-esteem. There's so many positive things about mental health, but we tend to really only think about mental illness or the parts of it that are scary and bad. And we gotta change that. We gotta shift that. We gotta shake that up.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to tell you, just in general, because I think it's important to just point out how it's the risk that you take in doing that as an artist. And I know what you're saying is an expression of yourself, but I think it's really true that it does help others recognize, and in the language that you use in being direct about it, I think can help everybody. And whether it's through song, and again, looking forward to seeing your production, getting that message out there that we can talk about this, that there's some language tools for it. And I know you've been a spokesperson for I believe it's NAMI, right?
Yeah.
For yeah, and done some work uh to help promote in the language around that. Could you just mention the role that you played with NAMI, as far as the outreach you've done?
I am a lived experience speaker. So basically, I talk to people about the things that I have lived through and how I live, and my experience, because NAMI believes that, like, yeah, the numbers are important, the statistics are important, those details are important, but what helps tie it all together and help people connect with it is seeing a real person who lived through it, and understand how this information pertains to their life and their lived experience. So I talk about my experience and my perspective and what helps me, and I love doing it. I love it so much because all of it is really just talk until we know somebody that lived that experience, right? Like, all of it is just talk until we can apply it to a real person. And that's what I do. I'm the real person.
Yeah, and thank you for your work on that. Nikki, I do love to talk about hip hop. I think you can learn a lot about people when they answer the question, who are their big influences in hip hop? Who your influences? Who do you go to in hip hop history?
My early influences were like Nas, Tupac, Lauryn Hill, The Roots, Farside, Missy,
Yeah,
um, Bahamadia. I don't know how many of y'all remember her.
yeah.
I like old school. Um, and then my recent influences are people like Kendrick, YB and Corday. Um, I really listen to a lot of Kendrick and YB and Corday.
I
Toby and
love
Igwe.
Kendrick. I love
Yeah, I
Kendrick.
love him. Toby and Igwe. Toby Lou, who's from here, Chicago. Um, I like them because they are so good at interjecting who they are into their music without feeling the pressure to adhere to what's popular right now. And they've still found a way to thrive and be successful in it.
Thank you so much for that. I'm a li- I listen. I've listened for quite some time. I'm 48, so I'm sometimes it's really strong influence of old school, like Public Enemy and Ghetto Boys and Run DMC, and I love Nas. But Yeah, it's been great to have some kind of hip hop conversations on the show. And Nikki, I got to tell you, I don't know if you knew this. I used to break dance as well, so I was the
Oh,
white boy
wow.
break dancer. Yeah, so that going that far back. Uh,
Whoa.
Nikki, another big question, just a couple more. What or who made you who you are?
My mama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like that woman. And Lord knows, like, when I was younger, I didn't want to be, but ooh, am I grateful now? There's so many things about her that I understand now that I'm an adult. And it makes so much sense. And I'm so glad that I got so many traits from her. So many things about her live in me. From her work ethic to how much her life just revolved around her work, to even like the way that she dated, like, and the type of people she was attracted to. Like, I am becoming my mom. And it is the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
That is such a lovely answer, and you sound a tiny bit conflicted, but you're giggling as you're going through it,
It's
so it's kind of like you
hilarious.
know it.
Because we were so different. Like, I grew up a tomboy, and I'm alternative. I got dreads down to my thighs, like, and my mom just was not that type of woman. Very, very. prim, proper femme. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like, we are
Yeah.
so similar in so many ways, and I'm very happy for that. I'm so happy. The things about her that are just amazing. My mom has managed to teach it and instill it in me. So I'm very fortunate. I didn't realize that at the time, though, but I know now.
And I'll say it for you. Thank you, Mama.
Absolutely, right?
Thank you, Mama. All right. So, the big question, Nikki, why is there something rather than nothing?
Why is there something rather than nothing? Because even if there was nothing, you just have a whole lot of space to create from. There's always going to be something, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that's the tough one. And there was another Chicago guest. I'm never gonna. I haven't said this before, but I just loved his answer, Avery Young.
Avery.
And he says it's something rather than nothing because it's got the thump. It's got the thump. That's all he had. It's got the thump. So I'm like, all right. I've been studying this one for a while. That's gonna be good. No, thank you. Yeah, Nikki, thanks for your answer. Nikki Lynette, I mentioned to folks about, your hip hop and you paint and you got your play coming out. I want you to tell the listeners something rather than nothing about where to find you, where to get the tickets, what the dates are, that type of thing. Can you let us know?
Yeah, my site that I am doing my play on and where the tickets are available is iGetOutAlive.com. iGetOutAlive.com, because it's not just a movie, it's a movement. And the tickets are cheap. Very proud of the fact that we don't have to tax nobody real bad. You know what I'm saying? For them to be able to afford tickets to see it. We worked real hard to keep it that way. Yeah, buy tickets and support. And I'm available online. Like, I always reply if people hit me up. If I see it, I'm replying to it. That's just how I am personally. And I can be found at Nikki Lynette, just everywhere. At Nikki Lynette, NIKKILYNETTE.
Yeah. And again, thank you for your time, Nikki. I like I said, I personally enjoy your art, your style, your courage, and I just want to make sure I thank you for doing what you're doing and for taking the time, on the podcast. It's been a great pleasure. I'm very much looking forward to the performance in January, and honestly looking forward to all the art that you put out. So, Nikki Lynette, I wanted to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Anytime.
All right. Have a great day and talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't be telling me what to say, man. Don't be telling me how to act. If what you say ain't made you great, then how you expect me to honor that? Everybody so plain, everybody so same, everybody stand out the exact same way. We don't fit in, we got thick skin. Cats been bad since we was kids. I'ma be the creature that the streets don't have. So feed the beast, I'll cream your ass. Watch the clock. Times on my side like a mom with a chick, I'm a pop to the top. Been badass since my first tooth, and I don't need nobody love for proof, and that's the truth. When you think that way, you know what they say. They say I'm crazy, but I'll never change. If your life's so prime, why you tryna live mine? You can't be better than me than me. Can't walk in my shoes, my feet still in them. Everybody play the same games, I'd rather win them. Everybody famous, everybody hot cold. Everybody say they make moves, everybody don't. I'm not a fan, but I'm a gambling man. I'll risk it all for the cards in my hand. Rather be this than the role you playing, cause you putting on a show. I'm showing who I am, and that's the truth. And I don't need no approval from you, but you already know. When you think that way, what they gon' say? They say I'm crazy. engine running. I am the noise, what should I hear? Enough cake coming in and it's fattening. Blow minds like heads unfastening. Old folks screaming out what's happening. My mind ain't right, it don't have to be. But I'll never change.